Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today, we're going to dive into the story of how one family's actions had a devastating impact on whole US cities. I'm talking about the Sackler family and their connection to the opioid crisis. If you want to deep dive into the opioid crisis itself, make sure to check out my previous video. In this video, we're going to focus on the Sackler family's influence, how they managed to avoid arrest, and how they bribed doctors to prescribe their dangerous drugs. And watch until the end, so you don't miss the cherry on the top of this story. The Sackler family's story begins with the three Sackler brothers, Arthur, Mortimer, and Raymond. All three were born to Jewish immigrants in Brooklyn, New York, and went on to become successful doctors and businessmen. Arthur Sackler, the eldest brother, was a pioneer in medical advertising and has been credited with changing the way pharmaceuticals are marketed. He laid the foundation for what would later become Purdue Pharma, the company responsible for OxyContin. Purdue Pharma was founded in 1952 by the Sackler brothers. The company began as a small pharmaceutical firm, but everything changed in 1996 when they introduced OxyContin, a powerful prescription painkiller containing a time-released form of the opioid oxycodone. Purdue aggressively marketed OxyContin as a safe and effective treatment for chronic pain, with the Sackler family reaping the financial rewards. The sales of OxyContin skyrocketed, and by 2001, it was the best-selling painkiller in the United States. Unfortunately, the aggressive marketing and widespread prescribing of OxyContin also led to a massive increase in opioid addiction and overdose deaths. Many patients became addicted to OxyContin, and when they could no longer get prescriptions, they turned to cheaper and more accessible alternatives like heroin and fentanyl. As a result, whole US cities were devastated by the opioid crisis, with communities torn apart and countless lives lost. Purdue Pharma didn't just rely on traditional marketing tactics to push their drugs. They went even further by bribing doctors and manipulating the medical industry.
There's no question that our best, strongest pain medicines are the opioids, but these are the same drugs that have a reputation for causing addiction and other terrible things. Now, in fact, the rate of addiction amongst pain patients who are treated by doctors is much less than 1%. They don't wear out, they go on working, they do not have serious medical side effects. And so these drugs, which I repeat are our best, strongest pain medications, should be used much more than they are for patients in pain.
The company spent millions of dollars on lavish conferences, fancy dinners, and all-expense-paid trips for doctors, all in an effort to persuade them to prescribe more OxyContin. Purdue also hired an army of sales representatives who were trained to downplay the risks of addiction and promote the benefits of OxyContin to doctors. These tactics paid off, with many doctors prescribing OxyContin to their patients without fully understanding the risks involved. In some cases, doctors were even found to be running pill mills, where they would prescribe large amounts of opioids with little to no oversight. The Sackler family and Purdue Pharma were fully aware of the damage their drug was causing but continued to profit from its sales. Considering the devastation caused by the opioid crisis and the Sackler family's role in it, you might be wondering, how did they manage to avoid arrest? The answer lies in the complex web of legal battles, political influence, and financial settlements that have allowed the family to evade justice. First, the Sacklers were able to use their wealth and influence to shape public policy and keep regulators at bay. They donated millions of dollars to political campaigns, as well as medical and educational institutions, effectively buying themselves goodwill and protection. Second, Purdue Pharma has faced numerous lawsuits related to their role in the opioid crisis, but the company has largely been able to settle these cases out of court, often for large sums of money. These settlements have allowed the Sacklers to avoid admitting any wrongdoing and to continue their business practices largely unscathed. And now, let's talk about the ironic twist in this story. As if profiting from the opioid crisis wasn't enough, the Sackler family's company, Purdue Pharma, now holds the patent for a medication designed to help people detox from opioids, including OxyContin. That's right. The same company that played a massive role in causing the crisis is now profiting from the treatment of those suffering from it. This new medication, known as nalmefene, is intended to help people manage their withdrawal symptoms and reduce their cravings for opioids. While the development of such a medication is undoubtedly important, It's hard to ignore the bitter irony that the Sacklers are once again profiting from the very crisis they helped to create. In conclusion, the story of the Sackler family and their role in the opioid crisis is a dark and disturbing tale of greed, manipulation, and the devastating consequences of unchecked corporate power. Despite their involvement in the crisis, the Sacklers have largely managed to evade justice, using their wealth and influence to protect themselves from legal repercussions. The fact that Purdue Pharma, the company responsible for the rise of OxyContin, now holds the patent for a medication designed to help those suffering from the crisis they helped create adds a bitter and ironic twist to this tragic story. As we continue to grapple with the opioid crisis and work towards finding solutions, it's crucial to hold those responsible accountable for their actions and ensure that such a catastrophe is never allowed to happen again. Thanks for joining me in this deep dive into the Sackler family and their connection to the opioid crisis. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel for more content like this. And don't forget to check out my other videos. Until next time, take care and stay informed.